Yeah, apologies. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, we are with you, sir.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. So let me just get back to share back my presentation. So thank you very much. Thanks for the time. I was trying to address this. So can we have my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Excellent, thank you. So on the client financials, there are a whole lot of processes there where you check in money, where you disburse money, where you do debit notes or credit notes, or where you do inter-account transfers. And sometimes, sometimes you keep accounts that are NASD accounts. I know these accounts are maintained uniquely. The accounting controls, as we recommend, is better that they are also unique. So you may also have to have funds movement between NASD or equity. The implications is just because of their controls on the general ledger. And of course, with reversals, if you have a transaction, every transaction has a document, every transaction has a document number. That document ID is what you need for reversal. All these are tasks that were planned granularly under the control area. So the issue of who should reverse, who should not be able to reverse is sorted out as at the time you are configuring the rules on the policy under the admin. And of course, generally you have all the reports on the application, which is vast. There are quite a lot of them. And all these reports are things that are available to everybody within the unit, and whoever has the model has the right, the privilege to reporting on financials. We actually do recommend that at least every month, organizations should have monthly reporting and filed out. So that, like I was trying to say the other time, it's almost midday in December. A week or 2 weeks after in December, your closure shouldn't haunt the new financial year. It's been a practice in so many places that, perhaps maybe some people even do keep their accounts outside the solution, and they'll be believing the software will do the magic. It doesn't work that way, because if the software does not even produce what you need to use to speak with the auditors, the auditor's position after auditing and their audit adjustments will be baseless, because they will not be relating back to jive with the software. So I've seen this kind of cases that the real critical issues to address will be all those problematic issues within the module, in the GL, would always be your debtors and creditors issue. If you have not resolved your debtors, creditors mark, change of software does not help most of the organizations that I've known, because this is what you guide very generously at even month-end reporting. So if it was okay last month, nothing would change your being well in the new month. So this has just been the practice, but because sometimes it's left, in some places you hear, nobody's owing me, I'm not owing anybody. This is not an accounting interpretation of a problem like that. So we just feel we should try to just share this, because most of the time, if your debtors, creditors are not in sync with what is in practice, then therefore means that some of the risks we take in trying to check may not also be accurate, because the balances in the customers may not also be accurate. The next one is actually the corporate, what you call the deposit account of the house. Yeah, that's your proprietary trading account. Your proprietary trading account, if reliable, then why not do what IFRS expects, that every quarter you do your mark to market, so that you can actually get your newer position start in the new quarter, and you can actually report yourself as down to the market values every 3 months. But then you cannot do mark to market, because first, the volumes are wrong, the cost prices are wrong, and guess what? The system does automatic weighted average cost price to determine your gains or losses. So because this actually has started on the wrong footing, in future system realization doesn't just make sense. So in so many cases, people may not even want to handle their corporate, their proprietary trading account properly as a proper investment account. And that, of course, will give you certain gaps that you actually won't be able to fit in reporting yourself properly. So the account itself is just a principled environment that some of those basic things has to play, because if those basic facts are on ground, your capital gain realizations are intact, and we challenge anybody who says something was sold your gain or loss was unrealistic, was incorrect, because it can always give you how and the history of how that was determined if the records the system used were up to date and accurate. So under bond equity, the bond equity is actually the heart of the entire back office right now, where you have your personnel in charge of account opening, and now this account opening are now interfaced with an API with CSCS for them to be able to trigger a new account to fetch a CSCS number at the CSCS, and also many other things that you can possibly do there. Under account, what we call account maintenance, you can do your account, whatever. You can do your account biometrics, where you set up all those images per account. And most of the time, it shouldn't be by the speed, but it should be by how carefully you are doing the accounts. We've seen in some places, some people have hired like NYSC students to come and begin to do biometrics to capture and attach to our application. And guess what? So many errors. You find a place where you're calling a male's picture, a male's account, a female's picture is appearing. So it shouldn't just be by the speed, but how accurately we are actually getting to document some of these biometric items against the customer account is very key. And rate changes for your commissions and brokerage management, who gets a lower brokerage, at what rate, and what have you. Is it on the buy side alone? Is it on the sell side alone, or both ways? And these are, you can configure some of these things under account maintenance. And you also do what we call the sub-broker attachment or detachment. You have an agent who has income to earn because it brings business to you. All these things are done by people who are in this unit. And of course, lien management and the necessary other updates on the account. Then we also use something here, investment bonus updates. You know, sometimes the position most of the time with the broker and what's in CSCS just does not tally and accurate every time. We've been doing what we call the CSS alignment, when we ask you to get, but mostly to start this, that's what we're going to start. You're not going to get your position from CSCS, and we're going to swipe it through the application to ensure that, oh, from day one, your position with CSCS should be the same position with the customer account you have in the solution. This will allow you for OMS trading, because if you do not do that, you won't be able to replace your bandits, especially when somebody wants to sell and the system says the position is not there. So these are some of the things to do. But then where you later have the problem, a gap again in future, will be where your bonuses have been declared, CSCS has updated the environment, you need that information to update Cloudintegra, and there is no sync, between the brokers and the CSCS. We wrote them almost 7-8 years ago. Till now, the CSCS that we thought should have been the technology resolution to the capital market, we still have gaps in there. So this technology still has one or two things, but then I think it's because they feel more money will be made by what they are doing at this moment. But brokers are the ones to really champion how this will go, because if bonuses are updated and your bonus updates have not changed positions in here, you'll regularly be having to do manual updates before you can trade in some things because of position misalignments. Now, furthermore in there, trade processing, what trade processing here is talking about is when you even have cost to process your trades manually. On the application, 100% as we speak, for all OMS trading customers of mine, there are no such jobs for man. I'm saying there is no such manual work, because as you trade, you don't know why you want to keep a manual process for updating contract loads. The broker goes in there, like I'm going to share when I go to the trading terminal very soon now. We'll be able to say that once you book a mandate, the notification for mandate already the customer has it because it's a regulatory requirement. Then once the mandate is being synced onto the OMS and is in the market and it gets matched, the matching gets back to show you that the trading is executed. You have a notification, just like the customer also is alerted that the trade has been executed, either sold or purchased. Now, once that is done, the contract note is automatic, is available. The customer gets all of that, and the account is been updated, your accounting is in order. But then, we always tell man, every day as you close to go to work, you must ensure your trading, your day's net bank settlement is equal to what CSCS confirms to you. If there's a cover difference, that means at least one customer problem. There's a customer that has that one cover problem. And that means that has to be sorted out. If it's not attended today, tomorrow is there waiting for it to be fixed. So this has become such that there is actually not much to be done around this area anymore. But then there will always be an instance of you having to reconcile to confirm whether all was well or not. Because if in a particular day there was no connection of your OMS for some reason or the other, it means that if you traded via any other channel, then those ones may have to be processed manually. So it's actually very important that members of staff get to know how some of these things are done if perchance the automatic fails. And of course, there's something we call the trade reversal. Once the trade has been processed, you can actually do reversals on them. And we have stock pullout. There's also something we call the pullout rather than reversal. The pullout is a total removal. The reversal is that what was there will just be negated. But then sometimes you have a very busy day of thousands of records of lines for trades, and you say reversal. Just expect that thousands of additional records will come in, and you can actually make the environments, and you have so much redundant records in the database that sometimes the trade pullout is recommended and there's actually no risk in there. And at the bottom here, I can show some things. Now, at the foot here, there are some intelligence reporting as of what is happening right now. We have some market news. That's the back office person. He's not on the trader. He's not, but then he's just to get like summaries of what has been happening for the day, which he knows that there are some market news that keeps updating. There are about 25 trades that has been consummated right now. And as of today, while we were sleeping at about 5 a.m., all customers whose birthdays are due today, the software has actually greeted them at 5 a.m. when some of us were still in bed. So today, about 6 of your customers were involved with such greetings, and for which management may want to take further by popping up to looking at perhaps if you want to do any other thing, but then you are informed. Then contacts. Sometimes people may want to register online as a customer because there is a link where they can do this. If there is any such, you also get notifications that somebody wants to open an account with your firm, and of course, his record would have been updated, and somebody can actually take it up from here because his record is there, his telephone number is there, his email is there, his name is there. Somebody can take it up from there to perfect his KYC and get his account open. So these are notifications. And today, they have posted like about 3 receipts. They've made about 2 payments, and the software has identified one particular risk. Like I told you, we will identify the risk. It's now left for management to say, oh, they want to do something about it or not. Because most of the time, if I were to allow the human compliance officer, he may have not even seen the risk, or he could even have even seen the risk and is not able to escalate it. So we really don't leave it for man, but we use it to advise man, which I think it goes a long way to help. Now, subsequent to that, we have what we call shares management. This module has become far less important or attractive or regular to use because most of the activities here in terms of script receipts, all those stuff are the things that is done here. Sending something for verification, printing the certificate deposit form, which are also automatic documentation, is where you have the flows in here. There's something we call the water drops. The water drops says that once the certificates are verified and goes to CSCS, as soon as CSCS updates their own environment, you can log into your CSCS portal and copy and swipe through the application so that the software here can also know that certain script receipts that you have issued before are now verified. And automatically these stocks will now be updated and they'll be even available on your OMS for trading. So is that good? Then the other one is actually what we call the croissant processing, where the croissant processing is actually instances involving inter-account transfers. And most of the time, you move a whole account. So when you can transfer from your house to another, it could have been that you're transferring from other houses into another. Some of this does still happen in-house. And a lot more market updates. Okay, I think OMS updates. Now, what you simply have here are just booking mandates for customers for both buy and sell. But then if you book a mandate here as an operations staff in the back office, your mandates they were not targeted to go to the OMS for execution directly. They will be suspended there as on hold for the broker of the organization to go to the trading terminal and trade them. All bookings, whether buy or sell, done by a back office officer is suspended in the OMS under what we call on hold. so that for the broker who can now log in there while he's trading other things, he will see yours and will be able to send them route some of your orders for executions, and so on and so forth. Then you also have a complete module that handles all your IPO, initial public offer issues, where from the point when people are picking the forms, making their payments, and of course the times when you are doing your remittances, all remittance reportings are done from the application. When you do your remittance, your public offer accounts that were holding the funds have to clear out, and the entire accounting process and documentation is all done under that. And of course, that also extends to when you have instances of return money that you can, the accounts department obviously have to update that. And once you do your return money, funds will be back to the customer's account. Rather, the stocks that were engaged would have been reduced, as well as returning back such funds back to the accounts as it were, and so on and so on. Then reporting, we have various categories. You have the reference reports, you have the customer reports, you have the customer balances, and of course mandate reports, certificate reports, transaction reports, market reports, regulatory, performance, and then the IPO reports in themselves in the back office. So in itself, the back office is like can be a very busy area, but then that is the foundation of what people do there on a daily basis, and it forms what happens in there. I've just gone into the OMS environment now. The OMS environment simply takes you to where you can trade. And perhaps I may want to do something. Let me just log in as myself. I think because what I did here is to have logged in as a broker or as a staff where I can see practically everything that is happening in there. But then I want to see, I think I have an account as an investor that I also trade in this firm. So even for me, whether vendor or no vendor, we are also an investor. So we can actually access the market, we can actually access our accounts, and as it were. So that is a possibility. So I've just been able to go in, like I told you, a client who can onboard, can access his account and can trade. So once he gets in, for instance, my interest may just be that I want to see my transactions, or I want to get market prices, or I want to see what my portfolio is saying. So if I stay here, I can see the kind of transactions that I have. Okay, like what I clicked, whatever was the market, whatever. But then, if I want to go to the market for trading, I may just want to click on the trader, and that takes me to the same market that I went the other time. But the other time I was logging in as a staff of the organization. But here, when I'm here as a customer, and everything I'm able to do here will be all the things allocated to me as a staff of the organization, as a client of the organization. So when I go to points of doing transactions, I will be able to only identify with what I am doing myself. I can only see all the things that I have myself, and of course, the portfolios, if you have any, that you have, and whether those portfolios are doing well or not, is what you'll be able to get. So like, for instance, I can see if I want to buy a transaction. Now, look at this account. My balance here is red. I cannot buy a unit of any stock whatsoever because I don't have money. So that was where we mentioned under the credit limit. If I was such an important customer, or somebody that just feel if you do it the next minute I'll pay, and so the way we usually have this kind of agreements, and the management can actually mandate that somebody go to the admin area and book a credit limit to support the kind of mandate I want to do. So there's really no risk allowing the customer to trade by himself, because if he does not have money, he can't actually execute. So there's really no such risk. So because for every volume you want to pick here, if I can see here, I say I want to buy, like say Wema. I pick Wema. The market data for Wema obviously will be there. And I say I need some volumes of Wema, say about 3,000. And for whatever reason, I can't proceed unless the funds was available. But then I'm in red, and this can't even continue to turn to a mandate that I want to book. And this is a customer doing this, it could be from his bed, anywhere in the world. Now, so once that is done, equally on the other side, when you are selling, you sell the volume you have. You can never sell the volume you do not have. So all those actually present no kind of risk at all, you know. But then in the third category, on the fourth category that I said we are going to introduce, that the category I mentioned, I say is called associate, will be that once the associate logs into you, he will be able to do a search to get his customers that he has with you so that he can trade in them. Remember, he's not your broker. Remember also, he's not your member of staff, but it's just a privilege that you are giving to him because he's an agent to you and he can trade on the accounts of the agency account that has been tied to him. So that's actually the new role that we are saying will be there, and whoever adds up, like here, personal search and all of that is invisible. But on his own portal, it will be available for him to pick and, of course, be able to do transactions based on that. And at the point of sale, it's also the same thing. If I want to sell, say, Fidelity, and I pick this. As soon as you pick that, if you have volumes of Fidelity, it will display. But as it is zero, I can never place a volume of Fidelity because the volume is not available, and so on and so forth. Now, and on the general information of the market, today's market news is, today is what, 11th? All these were news for today and all of that. And if you want this news to be lifted and go to customers right away, they are possible. But guess what? We did that some time ago, and people were saying that it was just logging their emails. So we're just careful as to how that is digested. Perhaps any ways anybody wants to consume any form of data, so long as we have data, everything is possible that we can actually digest them in whatever forms as we go. So I think maybe for now, this has actually covered the general operations of Cloudintegra as it has impacts on capital market generally and at the point of trading. And if I go back to the GL, please, if I go back to the GL, I sign out here. If I go back to the GL, you now realize that so many things are happening even as your operation is building up. Your accounting journals are intact. All we just need the head of accounts to do is for him to, on a daily basis, print out the journals of the day or view them and get them to go to where they need to go to impact on the general ledger. Because every day, my GL report here, there's a report that says today's GL report. This today's GL report would say that since the beginning of day today, 11th of December, till now, and if you are doing this by end of close of business, it will be everything that happens since the inception of the day till the end of day. The business is able to look at everything that has happened. It does not matter if you have branches. You see, exactly now that I get more worried that when these technologies are available is when so many brokers are closing branches. Before now, we used to have many branches, many people open up in different places. That I remember Tido used to be in Abuja, and they were head office in Abuja and branches in almost 20-something branches. So, but then, almost like 6-7 years ago, it was a little bit difficult. But today, it does not matter where your business entities are, and as you are, everything that has to do with things that have happened today, like today alone, about 24 pages of journals have been raised, and to the last total debit and credit to the last digit must balance out. So these are the AI stuff that the system in itself does checks for. And for us, we follow on some intelligence too, or across all our customers. Let me just share that with you. That if there are notifications of support, how do we support? It's almost 80% artificial intelligence and 20% human beings. With the 20% human being, is just to alert what the machines across all the various networks have been able to report what is happening from customer A to customer B. Things of risk are reported specially, and we are able to get some of these things on the fly. Look at that. These are things coming up with respect from trust yield, for instance, things impacting that may impact them, and that was reported at about 3 minutes after 8 o'clock. So the team will just follow some of those directions to see what can be done, assuming it was to impair the process, if we were to have to perhaps impact on the process. So we keep an email that receives all those things on a daily basis for attention. And you can see logs. Somebody has a problem about something getting blocked, we need to unlock. We have to do some findings before we unlock. But sometimes it could be somebody else that is trying your access. So you can see across the Zip Kinley, is the MBC is there. So we have a well-formed support artificial intelligence concept that uses some of that takes all this information and pulls it in. So, and of course is able to classify the risks associated with them, if any, and we'll be able to get back to the organizations to alert them where we need their attention. So I just think at this point, sirs, that it might just be the general idea of the application that I have just shared with you now. If I can take messages or perhaps other clarifications, sirs. Hello, sirs. Hello, sirs. We need your inputs. Hello. You can unmute. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, yes, I can hear you now, sir.
Hello.
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, very well.
I've seen some of the reports from your analysis. I saw the state of you know the requirement of NSC on quarterly report. The demand for the statement of financial position, profit and loss, and cash flow. But in your analysis, I saw another position, profit and loss, but there was not like cash flow. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Is there any provision for it?
No, we don't have the cash flow. We don't have the cash flow. And I think the issue has just been that we've not had a demand. We've not had a demand for the use for some time, maybe whatever. But then, you know, these things were they were all layouts that were provided at the time when those versions of those layouts were in. But I think for some reason, even so many people were not even using them. So I feel, but cash flow wasn't available. Wasn't available.
No. The thing is that because one of the requirements of this quarterly report, that's why I'm demanding for it.
Yes,
can it be? Can it be at least customized to fit into our own?
It's not impossible, of course. If I see
can it be customized to fit to our own?
You know, every report is designed based on request. If you have anything you want to, you need to get. What is important is your data.
Okay.
Once you have data, there are so many reports that are here. They're not necessarily done by the NSC, but there were reports demanded from people in the course of usage.
Oh yes. Okay. It's okay. Thanks very much. Let's wait for others. Maybe they have questions too.
In case we have any other message, sir. Okay, and I also understand that we may not have sent in an invoice. I think Amanda?
Yeah, I have question here.
So, okay, yeah, I'll take that. Amanda, you're in the house, right?
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes,
madam.
sir.
Okay, please, we'll send that later on. Please, madam, go ahead, please.
The first question that I want to confirm is your software web-based?
Yeah, it's 100% web-based, yes. The older version I mentioned was the Cloudintegra that started the market in 1997. we stopped support for Integra 2000 plus almost like 7 years ago, and that was taken over by the fixed technology for which this is actually based on. And our Integra 2000 plus is never in sale. It's not, we don't even give it out as a dash to anyone. So that's actually what we call the Museum Center, the Museum version, in case you find it anywhere, because I know quite a lot of people are still interested in that version at the time. But markets had to change the entire technology framework and all that we now have this other one. Like I said, this is 100% cloud. Main Street Bank that I think were bought over by other people are just coming back by this weekend. If we get their data as they promised by today, by Monday they are live and we don't even get to meet. Most of the brokers that are even like in PIPC in just almost 17 years old on the application, and there are people with 18, 19 years on this application, and that's everybody were converted from the old version to the cloud version because we don't support the old one again in 7 years now.
Question that I want to ask. Okay, can we quickly have some of your present clients, those who use your...
Yeah, I think Amanda, so I think
Yes, I
that
can
that
hear
you
you.
can share, that you can share with the invoice that you have to send. I'm sure you know that.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, hello, Mr.
Yes,
Amos.
I'm with you, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, yeah, thanks. I think
Something is echoing.
from the preambles, from your preambles, you said that this application works on treasury, credit management, and equity management.
Extended modules, yes, that's right. Sir.
Yes, I didn't see anything on treasury management. And I can see
this organization,
the
because this organization does not have that process active that I just shared with you now. Understand?
No, okay, you said?
Yeah, this organization, for the solution I've just showed you now, does not have those activities on their environment. Okay. That's why what I shared now. But I told you we have payroll, we have treasury, we have credits, which is credit modules extended.
Yes, because we currently have a relationship with FMDQ, and okay, clients that will be coming to our that will be managing at least from next year will be on treasury. That's why I am asking that. Is there any
no, sorry, the treasury I have here is not actually directed at FMDQ processes per se. The treasury here are just funds placements. Just like we have loans, advances, and interest payments on both ways.
Yes, that's exactly what you are. That's exactly what we are looking.
If that is what FMDQ, because I'm yet to really know what they're after, and you know some of these things. We don't want really know what exactly they're after. And
yes, I think what you have intention, what you said you have, at least is part of our intention that when we have any placement, they can be on the system. Yes. While in the process, if you want to migrate them to FMDQ, maybe we can now look for how
those processes are but then it's not been a priority, because I need to just look at what they are doing there and look at the best way they need to integrate what the NSC directly is actually offering. That's going to be an issue.
Okay. But in the interim, I think when we are going for your product, I think you should help us to put the treasury management.
In the course of our proposal, the office knows that they have to put everything. They will send all that to you. So it will be a decision of the house for us to know what.
Yes, we want to and the credit management too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the credit management too. At least equity, as you have mentioned.
There's a house I can connect to now. It's a fuller application. Like, let me just show you what happens in this house, for instance. So, sorry for the time. Let me see. a firm like this, for instance, what they have on their diet is as applicable to that organization, and you can see it's a longer list. All right, so you can imagine that. You understand? So it's a broader application set of applications.
Okay. Then also I noticed that your application does not have anything to do with research of the market.
Well, market data
is it a deliberate act, or you don't
intentionally. You see, I don't mix my operations and process with research. You know, for me, it's a hobby. If you remember in this market, that's why I say I know financial trust so well. In those days when we have arbitrage finance, we started the research of this market, but I'm not in sync with what I see today when people say they are doing for me. That's actually my choice, my hobby. But then what people think they're using market data today is not the kind of research I believe in. Because in those days when arbitrage was core, arbitrage before the market started in 1997, we did 10 years before 1997. That was Professor Olashiri Akintola-Bello. I led that team programmatically with the other set of guys that developed all of that. Even the Oshobas that are currently at the stock exchange doing research knows what I'm talking, because Oshoba was also on that team. But then for me, those who want to do market data, I just leave it for them to do when they do their market data stuff for research. But then for me, it's a whole lot that I feel that for business, no, those who want to do market data should just face that because it's a major thing on its own.
Okay. Then finally, from my end, you said you are going to send the cost implications to us through one of your staff.
Yes.
I hope the cost implication is subject to negotiation.
Obviously, yes. She just quit. I noticed she just quit. But Charles, I can still see Charles one, but then I'm sure they will relate. They'll be able to get that. I just told them, Charles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can actually relate that for the information back to the house. The email, I think the problem was that the email address was spelled wrongly, so that was why you could not get. We were not in copy. So, but I think I corrected them for them to note that it was PROGRAM, but they actually added a OS. That made the office not to get the copy, that it was only me that was seeing it. But I think they get the right information from that correction.
Okay, we'll be expecting the mail. Okay, thank you for the wonderful presentation.
And I get to know that you are still on the, of course, the building is financial trust, so you couldn't have left the building.
Yes, we are still,
I was
still on our building. It's our property.
Hello.
I know. I was on.
Hello.
Yes. Hello, madam. I'm with you. Okay, I was just.
Yeah, we are our questions, though.
Okay,
back
please.
questions, please.
All right. Okay.
Yes. You have. Should we? Which one are we? Yes. Yes. Do you have trade book?
What does that do? Hello, madam. Hello, madam.
Hello.
Yeah, madam.
Yeah.
You said if we have.
Hello.
Yeah, your question says, do we have trade books? Am I right?
I think yes, please.
Trade book would be a product I'm familiar with that a house developed for themselves.
No, not the one that the house developed themselves. You know, with this other management system by the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Okay. What you mean by the job? What we used to call jobbing book and all of that?
The requirements.
Is that what you mean?
It's not jobbing book. Okay. What I'm referring to is the platform where our clients can trade.
I've just shared that
directly.
Yeah, I just shared
on
that.
the Nigerian Stock Exchange platform.
Yeah, I just shared that in my presentation this afternoon. I logged in as a client. I logged in as a client to NBC.
And I just want to know maybe.
Oh no, that's the trader. I know I said the trading terminal is meant for clients. It's also available for in-house staff. And I said by January, we're working on associates that agents or sub-brokers can trade on behalf of the customers that they have with you, because they also earn income in terms of brokerage sharing, which the system will automatically do that. Any more, sirs? So we're actually willing to take even any more questions via mail, via any other source, to be able to highlight what any requests may be from time to time. Hello, sirs.
Sir? Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Hello, Chuck.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, sir.
No, I was just inquiring in case there are other questions that even with time, we can actually get them as a summary via mail or anything, as to any other questions and what we. Do we have more questions?
Hello?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Yes, I have a question. Can you hear me, please?
Very well, yes.
Thank you. I want to make an inquiry about bond, especially the ones that are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Those ones are traded.
We used to have problem with, yes, we used to have problem with, the way CSCS used to report it. We actually trade it in thousands, but they report it in hundreds. It's been a while that I trade it. Plus, I don't know if they corrected that. I don't know if your software, has adjustments for that or not.
No, the bond calculations are taking care of that. Sometimes when you look at CSCS, it will confuse you the way they've reported. But then the accounting for what you do, customers don't have problems with the way you process your bond into accounts.
Okay. So, like the MOS that you said,
yes,
with this direct processing. So once you trade bond, it's, processed directly into client's accounts and processed normally, right?
I think so, yeah, you're correct. You'll be correct. You're correct.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, another thing I want to ask is about direct crediting for our clients.
Yeah.
I don't know if your software has taken care of that.
There's something we call...
In the situation we have direct crediting
there's something we call,
for a particular client and we trade for him.
We call that happens under the account maintenance area that I showed you, that for every customer that has a DCS, that is direct settlement, direct cash settlement, that unit has to update all such customers. And the good thing about when they do that, all trades, when they are executed, the system knows how they will handle the mathematics, so it does not leave the money in the customer's account for it to look as if you are owing them and things like that. But then this happens when you have not updated the customer's account. That's the only challenge. But then anytime there is such relationship or such an update, you must call up the portfolio account and update them for what we call the DCS updates.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, another question.
There's some conflict on that thing, because sometimes the customers have filled, for some reason, CSS has not updated. I don't know. There's been some mix-up in some places that I know that even when the customer is updated, the customer now demands money from the broker because he didn't get money from CSCS and they fill the form. So we've seen some of those instances. But then if you have updated from the application side, the proper accounting and the record of the customer will be intact, and there will be no such money left in there, but it will be deemed settled upfront by CSCS. Yes, you can go ahead, please.
Thank you. Now, the another question is around the stock positions, especially at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
The one that I the knowledge of the one I have is okay. At the end of the year, the account is closed, and at the beginning of the year, of course, after the audited accounts, they do a kind of journal rollover, at least to start the year anew.
End of year process.
And yes. So now with the stocks, for the software to be able to at least give a true position of our proprietary accounts, I know that there is a need for the software to know, of course, what's the opening balance and whatever. So how does it, operate with your software?
I mentioned that as one of the very critical things, especially as it affects your proprietary trading account. And that is why you need to imbibe what we do on a quarterly basis called the mark-to-market process. The mark-to-market process means that by every quarter, all your holdings are archived and the opening volumes are opened at the market price. And this you do every quarter. If that is done well, every end of year, the market price as at 31st December end of year would have been the price to use for your volume on beginning the new year. And the variances in terms of that would have been generalized out, in your solution, and that would have happened with your end of year process, as it were. So market is the process. That's why we added that item. That process was added as a task that must be handled by the head of accounts, because it has an accounting implication.
By the head of accounts?
Yes.
Oh, you are here listening.
It's under the head of accounts.
Thank you so much. Yeah, another one that I want to ask is about this. Okay. And what I also want to ask is about this risk identification that you mentioned.
Yeah.
How does it really operate? What are the risks that your system can, automatically on their own identify that will not be left to us to take our decisions?
Okay. At least the few that we know that at least is market whatever. First, we want to know what account is somebody crediting today, for instance. An account has not done business in the last 2, 3, 4 years, and all of a sudden today is taking a credit. There will be a notification. We won't stop the process because the man was given the right to do so, unless if the account was cautioned not to do so. But then that activity raises an alert and it goes down on the risk item. It will be there on the dashboard for everybody to see. In-house, not externally, because it's still for the compliance officers of the house to evaluate. What the system is simply, the reporting is a suspicion. This account hasn't done business in a very long while, but today it's suddenly taking a value. He's not saying there's a fraud, but it's something that he says, please, can you just confirm? And that's that. Then at certain other instances, a whole lot of other things may arise. In some places, you do post transactions. Take, for instance, some people say they want to do what is called maker checker. I post a receipt. I don't want it to hit the customer's account. I want another officer to validate and have it sent to the account. You realize that, okay, fine, as good as it is, we abuse them. The officer that is supposed to validate is not doing this, and the thing has stayed for more than a week. So you can imagine a credit that's supposed to go to a transaction to go an account to be in an account for a transaction. But just because the officer responsible to do the maker checker verification or authorization has not done that. So you obviously over time will be getting escalations of reporting pointing to that as a risk, because it was a good thing to do, but it's not managed, it's not being managed. So this points to internal operational issues that we also need using some of these risk items, and a whole lot. I don't know, there are quite so many of them that we read as they happen. You see them on the drop down, which you can read. And sometimes some things are falling due. It could even be our own operation. It could even be our software. Things falling due that will be due for in a few days, in a few months, or something that are reported much earlier. You take them as surveillance tracks. So they are reported to you for you to know that something is expiring. Something like, take for instance, all our major clients, I would say, are hosted by the NSC's X Cloud. Before now we host them from outside Nigeria, but they said since the NSC is having an infrastructure, which for us is doing fine, because we really don't have those latency for people trading. They are not trading from machines remotely away from the NSC, so it's actually an advantage. So we actually recommended that everybody switch over. So everybody is hosted by the X Cloud infrastructure. And I think Programmer still has the highest of the users on that infrastructure for now. And that has been since even before Bajamo planned to leave the place and all that. But then, in essence, we try to see what risk, sometimes what we may not know. is when is your xCloud server expiring? Because sometimes we just only find out that the customer is just down. And the reason is that we can't even access, they cannot even use the application. And that's because we were owing the NSE. So we have written to them to share with us all the anniversary dates of such people because we can automate it. If they are not automating it will also help us to advise our customers better. And all this we log. We log all this into some of what we call the surveillance risk tracking. And these are reported to you, just like we also get alerts on them from time to time.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, the last one, because you don't want to move as fast as possible. The area of payments. Yes. I've heard that you said they're going to send to us your payments breakdown. I want it to be. I want it to really break it down.
They had a wrong email. I was the only one getting it, so I thought the office was also getting the mail. But I've corrected them this morning.
It's okay. So the things that we are expecting from you, what are the things that we are expecting from you now? We'll be expecting the SLA.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yes.
SLA, then your payment, like, will it be like an invoice? Yeah. Okay.
And sorry, Mr. Charles, you are on?
Yes. Any other thing being?
Okay, Amanda just got him. So the SLA, please just share a copy, just share a sample SLA, just use the name and just pass that down and all that. And I'm sure quite a lot of additional things, but then that can still come up later on next year because we're still in talks with the NSC with some changes that is happening. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Amos, for your time. You've really done a very good job. You've really taken us. We appreciate so much. So all these things we will expect them as soon as possible, sir.
We appreciate you
take our decisions on time.
Hoping it was not a lockdown time. You know, before we were on Akpogmo there, so we were closer. We were on Allied Bank building on the 12th floor some years back.
Okay.
Before we had to move to the island. But right now, we're almost doing 100% on cloud because all my staff, the ladies, the new staff, I've not even met them before. And, that's the way it is. The office, the office.
That's serious.
The office in Antony Village, I rarely get there. Even I've not been there in a year, even before COVID started. It now became useless. That even end of year, I'm not to go to Antony. So
I think that is what we're supposed to be looking at in Nigeria, if not for all the power problems and network issues.
I used to have an office on Shoda Inde House, that's the State House in Abuja. It's all useless now. So even I used to have an office in Adabaka in Ghana. It's all useless. So, and I can't remember reporting to Ghana in how many months or years. And something is on and they have time. So that's just the whole thing about the changes that we have seen over time.
That's just the whole thing. That's the thing of things. Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. So
I used to have somebody. I used to have a young boy there. His name is Ajagbe. I used to have a young.
In financial trust.
Yes, Ajagbe used to be his name. He's a young man.
No.
We
don't have anybody by that name.
Okay. Some years back, I trained some capital markets, some graduates to supply to the market. I think that was one of the places.
Okay.
No problem. So thank you very much. I appreciate you.
No.
Thank you very much.
My IT is asking question around the server. I think he has mentioned it, that most of his clients are on NSC server.
You need to apply for an xCloud server. I think Charles here will be able to take you through how that happens. But then
we are even hosted by NSC. We don't have any. Yeah.
No, that's all. No.
We are hosted by NSC.
You are good. So it's just a communication to copy us, and they tell us what parameters we need to do to start work. Hopefully, as we're not a very aggressive company, we're just there, but we're happy. But our customer support has been what has led us, and not any other thing.
And another one is I know that will be part of your SLA.
Okay.
I hope the response, what do we call it now? I mean, how swift you respond to.
You see, in all fairness, our SLA is very clear on this, and our model for support is a lot very easy. We take every request via mail. whatever request we take is a team that reacts to your mail. So it's not as if it's one person dedicated to another or there's anything coming that I don't see. Even though you have support team, there's nothing that comes into our support trail that I don't get to have a feel of it. And then all we do is a team attention to every work. And that's it. And that has been better than in those days when we have to keep boys on the road and we were actually all over Broad Street there and all of that. But then that was the style. And that was the version and the time. Because we are not with you, we cannot do anything. And you can imagine me bending down in those days, foresight, before I could roam around Broad Street and enter Market Street to say I want to bust out at, you can do just one house, but then you can talk to almost over 30 companies in a day, and we are fine. Because of what
that's
we are
good.
doing for now.
Another thing is this. I can see that you are recording this presentation,
well,
right?
I will share with you, yes.
Yes, I think because eventually I couldn't get my group managing director.
Okay.
And I wouldn't want to still board you. You've done a very good job. I cannot ask you to do this all over.
So this is my foundation. This is my foundation channel. I will share with you the channel, and you can even spend time on what some of the things we are doing beyond the capital market. There's a channel for programmers foundation as to all the things that we've been doing.
Okay, so how do we get that?
I'll share that with you. I'll share the channel link with you.
Hello, Mr. Amos.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Amos.
Yes, sir. I'm with you, sir.
Hello.
I'm with you, sir.
Yes, I think this particular presentation was recorded.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, I think we will need this presentation to be forwarded for you guys to forward it to our group so that you guys will not come and again with all the presentation and wasting time and energy and wasting.
I can understand. I'll share it with you, sir. I'll just send the link to you, sir. After the session now, I'll just do a conversion and I'll move it to YouTube and send the link to you. Thank you so very much, everyone. I quite appreciate it.
Okay. So
So Amanda,
thank you so much. To have a nice day.
The mails were out, they're overdue to go now. And please, Charles, please let me connect with us so that we can get a copy of the SLA to go with it.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Excuse me.
All right, sir.
Excuse me. Hello, sir.
Yeah, with you, sir.
Yeah, I want to get like when can should we send a mail to how you get to our chairman, the group managing director, so that this presentation can be forwarded to him over the weekend, so that he can study. I mean, he can see the.
Yeah, just as a mail, so just share it with me. Just send it as a mail to me. So when I'm sending it to you, I'll add his link. I'll add him to the mail trail.
Okay, what you can do is that the initial mail we send to you, send it to that mail tray. That I sent to you.
Okay.
The mail that I sent to you to give the time that we are waiting today.
That's
that I sent here to you.
Okay.
Yeah, sent to that presentation, this presentation, so that we can tell him that he should watch the presentation so that he can see all what you have presented, so that by Monday we can take a decision on this. We want it to be as quick as possible.
I understand. Thank you so very much, everyone. We so appreciate you. So Amanda,
Yeah,
please, you can actually do your documentation. Charles, thank you. All the best, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.